things that many people do on a regular basis is, I think, try to figure out the particular level of depth and perception and how far they want to go. How far do you want to go into a subject? What's your comfort level? And when do you stop? When are you going too far? When are you how do you know you understand the subject? And it comes down to what you are familiar with. Today's topic is what will be the biggest threats to humanity, society, and freedom in 2024. And why I like that topic is it involves a lot of subsidiary issues, which are also very, very critical for us to consider. I am my own person. I'm my own idiosyncrasies. What I think is important is one thing, and also what I find myself doing is I will find myself thinking that something is important and explaining it, but people miss it. For example, Gonzalo Lira. Good luck with that one. I have been on various platforms, and invariably, if you move yourself out of the country, preferably going to, if you are dealing with an audience that's European or who knows a little bit about the travails and the horrors that comprise, totalitarian regimes, they understand 100% exactly what you're saying. Because they may not know the name, because they don't know the name Gonzalo Lira, because it may not be familiar. There's something which Gorgonzola Lira. See, it's funny, but it's this idea that I'm going to say something as a quip. Houthis and the blowfish. This is where we are. Americans don't have any. It does nothing means anything to anybody here. You have to go outside of the country. Americans are children, and with all due respect, I know that's kind of funny, but you miss the point. We all miss the point. We spend more time making fun of the way Biden walks than the bigger picture. Well, what does this really mean? When I try to explain to you, why was it that the government took more interest in Brittany Griner than Gonzalo Lira? What I think would be a beautifully brilliant form of, that's a great discussion. Other people say, no, I don't want to go there. Not really interested. Why? Too deep. It's not my thing. I want to make a joke. It's not my thing. I mean, I sort of like some forms of, I guess, politics, but not really. Not really. I know that there's two things. If I were, with all due respect, if I were to talk to you about this, it's a waste of time. If I go elsewhere, let me give you an example. This works every single time. I have tried repeatedly to explain to people the message and what the lessons we can learn from the manufactured focus on Taylor Swift, how we have created this. This is Bernays. This is public relations. This is Mirlu. This is Le Bon. This is crowd theory. This is everything. But because it deals with the subject matter of Taylor Swift, it doesn't go any further. It will be a cacophony of, I hate her. I don't care. Oh, Americans love that. I don't care. I don't watch her. I don't know who this is. I had somebody ask the other day, who is Gonzalo Lira? And they never looked it up. We are doomed to our own incuriosity. Stand by for a second. I have more chiding and upbraiding to do, but please subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell, be notified of new streams and the like. And for those of you who want to talk about something very serious regarding the notion of metals and gold and investment and the end of civilization as we know it, watch this. The markets are in turmoil. The whole world is in turmoil. Oil, tech, retail, property, you name it. Nobody knows where this all ends. So what can you do? Well, you might have heard of precious metals, but not thought much more about it. How do you buy them? Where would you even keep gold if you had it? But precious metals come into their own in times like these. As geopolitical tensions rise and economic turmoil looms, gold is always a beacon of stability. Investing in some resilience with the Noble Gold Investments IRA services, looking after your money makes sense. The team at Noble Gold Investments will run through your options with you and see if you qualify to start a gold IRA or 401k rollover. Protect your portfolio with a Noble Gold Investments IRA and claim a free silver virtue coin for starting. Call 877-646-5347 today. Tell them Lionel sent you. That's 877-646-5347 and fortify your financial future against the winds of change. Or visit LionelNationGold.com right now. What was that again? That's LionelNationGold.com. The only gold company I trust. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. Gonzalo Lira is they called him a YouTuber and they called him a red pill advice, and he was a man, whatever he is. He was no more important than Medgar Evers, Emmett Till, Malcolm X. Why? Because I say so. Now, let me explain to you the official story. Without hearing anything, number one, assume nothing. You have to go to TASS and to RT and other foreign sources because America cares nothing about it. Let me just say something to you right now. America is that entitled teenager who just doesn't care about anything, has no interest, can't see beyond its own selfishness, okay? That's it. So number one, I don't believe anything anybody says because unless you prove it to me. Number two, if I represented Ukraine, what I would say was, no, his problem was a medical condition which we tried to address. He was not murdered. What murdered him or killed him was this particular problem. If you can show that there's a reasonable doubt as to whether he would have died anyway, so that's going nowhere. That's going nowhere. And the United States, in bed with Zelensky, this Borat thug, is going to do nothing to pursue anything. Your government, let me say this again to you, your government told you and wants you to believe that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. And while people love to do memes, here's what happens. There will be a meme. I think there was one at Christmas time for an ornament that says, just like this ornament, no, just like Jeffrey Epstein, this ornament did not hang itself. That's as close to it. If you ask people, why do you not think Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide? Why do you think that is? And they will tell you, I'm not really, because they have no idea. Would you like me to explain it? No. Would you like me to tell them? No. I'll just cut to the chase. Yeah, but it would be better if you understood. No. No. That's America. Right now, I told you, and I know this is, nobody really believes this. Nobody really cares. But I'm going to say this. One of the stories is right now, the Houthis. Forget it. Here comes the pun. Houthi and the goldfish. See? That's America. We don't really care. We just don't care. It's like, whatever. I don't know. Where? Yemen? Yemen? Is that, who's that, Bob Marley? Is that a Jamaican dude? Get it? Yeah, man. Yeah, we're Beavis and Butthead. That's why I've got to go elsewhere. That's why, thank God, that there is a Europe thing. I mean, there are some folks here, but not that many. And the reason why is very simply this. Let me give you an example. This Bab El Mandeb. What? The Strait of Tears. No, the Gate of Tears is called the Gate of Grief. This is the strait between Yemen and Eritrea and the Horn of Africa. This is going to change this little tiny, I don't know how many, it's about 20 miles wide. It's nothing. It's nothing. That's going to change trading lines, going to change everything in the world. And I have no idea. I talked to a friend of mine the other day. I always use this as an example. And we were talking about something. I said, have you, because he desperately needs to lose weight. Very, 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 very seriously needs to lose weight. And we were talking about a variety of things. And I said, have you ever heard of fasting, intermittent fasting and the like, and basically how fasting works? What is the benefit of fasting? And I realized as soon as I said this, I thought, what am I doing? Why am I even suggesting this? Why am I even, oh dear God, I'm talking about fasting. To lose weight, I said, no. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to soldier on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Well, I said, there's this wonderful concept called hormesis. And I realized I'm dead. I'm just dead. And it got worse and worse for me. You don't eat? Yeah, but what if you're hungry? And I said, I give up. I just give up. It can be anything, unless it's sports. Now, sports people know big time. Oh, they'll know sports. NFL, they know everything about it. You will see some of the smartest people and the smartest analysis when it comes to sports. And that's God's honest truth. So they are capable of it, but not too often. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Sparky. He says the second time Gonzalo was arrested, it was at the behest of the U.S. government. That's why he could no longer pay off Ukraine to leave him alone. He should have left. And Sparky, let me stop right now. Let me stop because you bring up a good point. I'm going to stop that particular thing. I'm going to go right to Gonzalo. And thank you for this. Number one, if I could have advised people, I would have told Blinken or Zelensky, whatever I'm going to say. Number one, the worst thing you can do, if you want to completely destroy somebody's credibility as a, whatever you want to call it, as some form of revolutionary, just say, no. I insist. Mr. Lira will be untouched. Mr. Lira, you please say whatever you want, whatever YouTube or whatever it decides. But as far as we're concerned, you say whatever you want. Now, granted, they have laws that are really giving false information. Sounds exactly what we do. Now, we don't arrest them. We'll do this in a moment. Why did Gonzalo Lira matter? Because they're petty, petulant children. They're like the Stephen A. Smith. I don't know I know you're not following this with Jason Whitlock. I know you're not. You're missing everything. It is one of the most fascinating analogies and analogs of the rest of the world. But in any event, if I were to say, or yet again, if I were to say this in here, I said, let me see if I can explain this, perhaps. I would have said, Mr. Lira, you please continue. Please continue. Say whatever you want. That's it. Nobody knows who he is now. Why did you create a martyr? You're on the balls of your ass. You're on the last tranche of whatever. Why are you doing this? Sparky, may I give you another one? You'll like this one. Why is Israel insulting South Africa, who is technically not the prosecutor, but they brought this application. And then later on, they say they want to work something out. with what? Why would you kill and target the person who was investigating or who was negotiating hostage release? I don't understand any of this stuff. I don't understand anything. One of the most effective things you can do in an argument is please say whatever you want, but let me respond. But please take all the time you want. Go ahead. I won't interrupt you. Have you ever done that? It's the most unnerving thing you can do. Please go ahead. And then you go ahead. And you listen and they realize, I really don't know what the hell I'm saying. But I got to keep talking because as soon as I stop talking, he's going to come back. And you're like this. And the best is, let me know when you're done. Please, please speak. Please, please speak. Anyway, and it destroys everything. It destroys everything. It destroys the argument. It destroys everything. I don't know how to put it. Anyway. Okay, that's that. Now, moving right along. There's something else which is the most important. And Sparky, you would understand this because you're a man who is demented, but that's why we get along. I would say, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you why this is relevant. This is Gonzalo Lira. I'm pointing at my little, imagine my little audio visual. This is Gonzalo Lira. He's a Chilean American who went to Dartmouth grad. He wrote some stuff, very smart. I think he's smart and a little bit manic. Let me explain to you why I say. Let me stop for 1 second. Let me do this. First of all, I'm not a psychiatrist. I am a parvenu, dare I say, a panjandrum when it comes to psychiatry. But I think I understand a little bit of the theory behind it. Let me see if I can explain this. Bipolarity, bipolar. We all know what depression is, serotonin. But the opposite is when you have an unrealistic sense of self and greatness and impermeability. You can do anything. You are unstoppable. You are invisible. Like the great Michael Stipe intoned, I am Superman and I can do anything. Pettiness increases exponentially as people rise to the level of the elite. Oh, Sparky. Not only pettiness, but just hold for 1 second. It's a good point. If you listen to him, one thing, listen to the laugh, the grandiosity, even when he's being caught, even when he says, well, I'm a dumbass. They told me, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes, again, I wouldn't be surprised. It's mood at this particular point, but there's this sense of you must understand humility and fear. There's an old expression, one of my expressions I love, and I'm going to tell kids this and people, pick the hill you want to die on. Remember all these people when YouTube was, and all these social media were clamping down and said, but by God, I'm going to, and then they were gone. Never saw them again. It's like, okay, well, you happy? Hey, I've got a lot of respect for you, but he's gone. Yeah, but still, what do you mean still? He's gone. Why did he do that? Because he's got, no. There's a certain degree of let me, again, side note here, tangential, please, 1 second. You know who I really respect and love her to death? Laura Loomer. She pisses everybody off. She won't go away. This is Ellen and I. Sometimes we'll have the apartment closed. Winter, there's no anything. There's no air coming in. There's no air. And we'll find dust. Like, how did this dust? Where does dust go? That's Laura Loomer. She just shows up. You can seal her up. She shows up. And the more you shut her up, the more you create this. Anyway, I respect him. But going back to this, I was very concerned with, he was almost like saying, like, they don't, I have nothing really to worry about. Yes, you do. These people are hardcore. Sparky says, Gonzalo Lira not wanting to leave his children was a factor in him staying too long. That might be it. That might be it. By the way, Edge Dweller, God bless you, gifted 10 Lionel Nation memberships. Thank you, dear friend. Please do that. That also shows that special little support level. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But Sparky, your children and your family become a bigger target. That's another thing too. First, let me explain something to you. Cowardice, smart. If you are ever planning to, and I love the animal world. I love the notion of the predator. They prey to eat. They don't f around. They don't f around. They don't. They're not out there to be a. You don't see a lion being a dick. Like just for the hell of it. Humans do, because they're always challenging for no reason. Most of the time, an animal will look at you and say, this is not in my food. I don't know what this is. They'll look at you, and they might look at you as a territorial threat, but they'll look at you and say, this is not a wildebeest. I've never eaten this before. I don't know what this is. I don't know. This thing could rip you apart. Gorillas. Nobody even knows the strength of a silverback. Nobody even knows. 2,000 pounds, a ton. Nobody knows what it can pick up. They're trying to guess. By the way, uninhibited cortical strength. That's the reason for this. Not the length of the arms, not the pivoting, not the fulcrum, uninhibited cortical strength. Anyway, so what Gonzalo Lira has to realize is that you're in a country where they will kill you. Now, unless you want to be a martyr, that's fine. Martyrs say, I know they're going to kill me. But that's the way it goes. And I always thought, when you're at that level, when you say, well, that's the way it's going to be. He was never meant to be a martyr because he always thought he somehow, I don't know what it is, either because of his mania, which again, I undiagnosed, his hubris, maybe he believes his own stuff. I don't know. You have to understand something. When people find themselves with their first heart attack, their first anything, they realize I'm not immortal, or I'm not young anymore, or whatever it is. Reality sets in. So as much as I loved his work, I thought, he's a damn fool. He's a damn fool. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What is the point of this? But here's the thing. On January the 6th, we had a number of people who had absolutely nothing to do with any kind of insurrection or rebellion or overthrow. Nothing. They had absolutely nothing to do with that. Period. But it began. They started this momentum, and they kept saying this and saying it, and over and over and over, and they just keep saying it. They just keep saying it, and pretty soon, within the community, they just started to believe it. Let me give you an example. You'll I'm watching this ICJ case, and it is. I don't even know where to start. I'm not going to bring it up now because I don't think you're interested, but I'll talk about it. I do it in my private channel. And one of the things that I swear to you, I would not be surprised if somebody somewhere, if I found out that Israel said, now listen, whenever you talk about something, remember, Hamas. Everything's Hamas. Everything. Say Hamas to the point of just keep saying it over and over and over and over. This is the position. I saw a debate the other night. I've got to tell you something. First, let me give you this. This is called Connections Podcast, episode 87, with Norman Finkelstein. South Africa charges Israel, and his fellow's name is Mouin, Mouin Rabbani. And this was the greatest review of the week. Yes, Mouin, I'm pronouncing it Rabbani, and this is called Jadaliya, Jadaliyya. The best review, one of the most balanced and even-keeled approaches to the subject I have ever heard. It is brilliant. And one of the things which you understand something is you got to understand the world doesn't buy any of this. The world knows better. But in America and on Fox News, they don't know this. And you should see the Washington Post. Was it not Al Sharia, Al Shia, the hospital. They debunked rape claims. America doesn't know this. Let me tell you another one too. I've got to tell you this much. And I'm always, because this YouTube is anyway, let me tell you this. Let me give you this one. If you could somehow watch this. Oh, and by the way, the Cat Williams things, I know you don't care about that. It is bigger than anything you can imagine. Here is a story. Where is this guy's name? It was on that. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Quote, valuetainment. This is called You Effing Racist. Let me see this one. This is incredible. Okay. You've got to see this. This is a fellow named Bassem Youssef. He was a cardiac surgeon, and anyway. And he's on with a fellow named Adam Sosnick. No. And Vincent Oshana. I don't know who it is, but there's one who's a quote comedian. And it's Valuetainment. 5 million subscribers. It was I would watch everybody. I would make everybody watch this. I don't know this fellow's name. I think I don't understand it. I think his name is Sosnick. I don't know. Anyway, effing this, effing that. Oh, he's a Jewish fellow. And I'm not saying he's a moron. I don't think people are stupid. But if you don't know anything, you don't. And this is great stuff. Because this has how many hits? 600,000. So what Patrick does is he says, I'm going to put these people on. Cretins or not, doesn't really matter. I'm going to put them on. And I'm listening to stuff and I'm realizing they don't understand. Well, this Bassem does. You better hope if Israel has any chance at getting through this. And by the way, Finkelstein talks about it. It might be because the ICJ is not equipped to do it, the complexity of it, whatever it is. But Israel had better hope to God nobody gets a hold of this. I told you one of the best pieces ever. I'm saying if you want to see something, watch Michaela Peterson and Finkelstein talk about the history from 1948 all the way through it. She doesn't say a word. She lets him speak. It's one of the best things I've ever heard. And you might think, well, he's biased. No, you got to listen to it. The American version of it is Hamas. Alex Christoforou had a nice Gonzalo Lira retrospect a few hours ago on his channel. Oh, yeah. Sparky, again, back to Gonzalo. I don't want to make him out to be, Schweitzer, but let me ask you something. Why is he any different than anybody? And again, remember, Ukraine is going to say, we didn't kill him. He died in a hospital. We might have had a lousy hospital. You've got lousy hospitals too. Hell, you've got people who can't even afford medical bills in your country. So don't give us this nonsense about blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But here's the story. And I find this interesting. What do you think? And this is really critical. What do you think is how do we say this? How do we even put this into perspective? How does this even remotely work? There's no proof he was killed, but they keep saying he was. And the father, poor man, says he was tortured. Okay, so remember, Ukrainians can say, excuse me, Medgar Evers was shot. Malcolm X was shot. This fellow died of kidney or some type of a pneumothorax or some type of a double pneumonia. That's a different story. Here we just go Yemen, fight the power. Now, why would you say that? Let me stop this for a second. You'll never hear me say, go. I don't play team sport politics. Never. It's analyzing. I'm like a doctor looking at a microscope. I'm saying, oh, the infection is bad. Yes, go antibiotics. No, I don't. I know what you're saying though, but that's not the way I look at this. I am surgical to a fault. Surgical to a. This is the thing I cannot explain this to people. I hate taking sides. That's the boring part. I don't want to take sides. That's not my thing. I hate the taking sides. Let me stop for 1 second. I'm glad you brought this up. Couple of things. You see this thing right here? On February the 3rd, I'm telling you right now, I am telling you, I'm looking at this. The stuff that passes for entertainment. And I'm thinking to myself, dear God, it's horrible. It's people who don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. But I do know what I'm talking about. And that's why people hate me. And that's why on February the 3rd, when I return to the New York's fabled and storied cutting room, I want to see you. Now, the tickets are available. There's a link right here. You can go pinned to my YouTube channel. My YouTube. Oh, there's stuff here in the comment section on the YouTube. Twitter. You go to lionelmedia.com. There it is. I want to be there. And I will be there. I want you to be there. Okay, you got it? Does that make sense to you? You got it? You understand how this thing works? Okay. Hang on. Here we go. Thank you for that. Here we go. Sparky says, Five Eyes wants Assange to suffer the same fate. Everybody know what Five Eyes is? Everybody? Watch this. Yemen is key. It's critical. It's not the key, but it's critical. You're right about that. Watch this. What's Five Eyes? And this thing, it goes blank. I don't know what I just very, 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 very sensitive. Sorry about that. What is Five Eyes? What is Five Eyes? Now, watch what happens. Let me see. What is Five Eyes? Five Eyes Burger and Fries. See this? Punny? That's called paranomasia. It's puns. It's also called Witzelsucht. Witzelsucht is a neurological disorder where people are unable to make they make puns about everything and jokes. It's sometimes irrelevant. It's a mental illness. It is a neurological disorder called Witzelsucht. Leave it to the Germans to come up with a disease for basically laughing too much. Intelligence sharing. Look at this. Raul says, I don't know. Thank you for that. No, we are not talking good versus evil. Sorry, we're not talking. There's no such thing as good or evil. Doesn't work that way. Now, here's the thing. If I'm talking to you, maybe I have different windows open. I go over here. Dick M's got it. Mark Lewis has got it. Very good. All you do is you just go over, and as bad as Wikipedia is for just titular stuff, it's an Anglosphere intelligence alliance between Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the US. And that's kind of the way it is. And that's part of it. That's part of it. And I would think that Sparky is not wrong per se. Hang on a minute. Laurie Cuck says the 5 countries that we share intelligence with, poor Gonzalo Lira. Well, again, Laurie, thank you for that. We don't know what happened to him. Let me just remind you, they're going to say he had pneumonia. Yeah, but you didn't take care of him. Well, happens in your country too. Ask poor people. Ask Andy Warhol, who received inferior credit. It goes on and on. Just remember, always know what the argument's going to be. But to answer Sparky's question, intelligence hates. Sometimes they want to pick on somebody and say, you know what, we haven't destroyed anybody in a long time. Whom should we get? Well, this guy Hassan, oh yeah, I hate that guy. Let's get him. Why? Because he's under the impression, for some reason, he can do whatever he wants. He is under the impression that he can do whatever he wants and say whatever he wants. He does. He believes that. He's under this nutty behavior that he can actually go and say what he wants. And we're going to show him, no, you can't. Let me give you a couple of things here, by the way. If ever anybody asks about Julian Assange, and by the way, I realize we're jumping around, but not really. We're still within the framework of this, so I appreciate that. But let me give you a couple of things here. You got to realize this, and this is important. And by the way, Laurie, thank you so much for that. First, what if you are a reporter and you work for the whatever it is? I don't care if it's a newspaper, a radio station, it doesn't matter. Let's assume that I come along and I say to you, listen, I've got this thing for you. I want you to do me a favor, a big favor. I want you to, this is critical. I want you to have this. This is an illegal recording. This is a wiretap that I did between 2 people. And if the government did it, it would be against the law. But I did it. I'm a private citizen, and I did this. And it shows, let's say, complicity or conspiracy between this and that or whatever it is. And I want you to take note of this or whatever it is. Okay, fine. Now, what happens if you as an organization, what if you as a newspaper, if you as a media, you take it and you report it? Now, you didn't steal it, you didn't take it, but I came and gave it to you. Are you protected under the laws of the United States? Are you? And answer why. Don't just say yes or no, but are you protected? Would you be protected under the laws and the Constitution of the United States? I like when people say, I like when they even show the process of thinking. I like that. Would you be protected? If you printed it, if you reported it, if you said it, would you be able to show that you are protected, that this is speech, that you are either a journalist or it's newsworthy? And I just used 2 important terms. Yes or no? I'll wait because I want to see what your reactions are, because unlike other shows who have live streams, I actually want to see. It depends. Very good. I like this. Laurie Cuck says, it depends. For Lira showed us what Kharkov really looked like. He stayed in Ukraine because his children were nearby. Well, again, Laurie, that's great. He put his children and his wife in danger by doing that. He put his children and his wife in danger in that brutal regime. That's number one. Let's talk about Julian Assange. Julian Assange was handed WikiLeaks stuff. What happened? Did Julian Assange break into WikiLeaks? No. There was some remember Chelsea, I keep saying Chelsea Handler, Chelsea Manning. Remember when it was suggested that they were, forgive me if my memory is not perfect, I believe Manning had asked for information. How do I do this? How do I get around this? This password system or something. So they were saying that he did more than just passively involve himself in this. Under this Bartnicki against Vopper case, I think 2001. Bartnicki, I think 2001. But it's Bartnicki against Vopper. The Supreme Court said, if you are a journalist and somebody brings something to you and it's newsworthy or whatever, and you yourself did not steal it, you did not trespass, you can use it. You are protected under the protections of the First Amendment. What do you think Ellsberg did? What do you think? What do you think? Do you think at any point during the course of this that Woodward and Bernstein, by the way, that was such an inside job. Anyway, do you think that people break laws? That somebody brings you, what do you think a whistleblower is? Here, I got this stuff. What do you think Snowden was? Snowden, now that's kind of different. Snowden's in this country, but Snowden, basically, he had a problem with that, the company, what was it called? Not Bonds. Anyway, he was kind of a private contractor, but he basically took information and stole it and gave it to whoever. Now, he himself put it out. That's a different story. But if you hand it to somebody else, it almost acts like like a shield. Julian Assange is protected in this country. What they want to do is they want to do to him what they did to Jose Padilla. They want to drive him crazy. They want to make him nuts. They want to make him nuts. And then he's no good. And then they want to teach you a lesson. Don't do this. January 6th, teach you a lesson. Don't you do this. Don't you do this. And let me also tell you something. You can repeat things. They will show you how to repeat things over and over and over and over and over. Just like Israel says constantly, Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. Everybody's Hamas. Well, Hamas. And by the way, and I say this with all respect for what he did of days of yore, but Alan Dershowitz has just lost it. I mean, I don't even know what to say. He's lost it. He's shown this kind of I don't know what the word is. I just don't think he's. I watched so much of this international CJ. People aren't buying this argument. Anyway, aside from that. So Gonzalo Lira, he died. And what's going to happen? Nothing. People don't know who he is. People don't care. And they say, oh, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Now, Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner was this 6'9". I don't know if she's non-binary. I don't know what qualifies as non-binary, but she's a 6'9", kind of an NBA, this basketball player who went to Russia and had a vape cartridge that had cannabis or hashish oil. He said, oops, I forgot. Wasn't that much anyway. Those are their laws. Okay. Remember, any of you kids remember Midnight Express? Dun, 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 dun. Billy Hayes, or oh my God. Remember that? I remember as a kid. It made international drug traveling a little bit of a rare occurrence. Sparky says the tanker Iran recently seized was the tanker the West stole from them a year ago. They were reclaiming their own property. MSM failed to mention that. West used it as a pretext to attack Yemen. Well, you see, Sparky, you bring up a good point. Let me go back to this one piece. Brittany Griner, hang on one second. Brittany Griner went to Russia, broke their laws, and they said, that's the way it is. You come into our country, these are our rules. Yeah, but they're stupid. And don't come here. We've got stupid laws. Look at January 6th. There are people who were relegated to gulags, some underground star chamber. We do this all the time too. But that's what they did. So why did we give a damn about her? She's black. She's non-binary. I don't know. They connected with her. It's kind of like that. This sounds nuts. The reason why people love that Claudine Gay is she looks like that. I shouldn't. You're not. McGill looked like an assistant principal. Nobody cares about her. Edge Dweller says the extraordinary becomes ordinary with an overwhelming quantity of information misinforming. Yes. And also say the same thing. Say the same thing over and over and over and over. If you watch, for example, Israel, what their message is, it's Hamas. Just everything is Hamas. There was a fellow, Dershowitz was debating somebody, and he said, what about the International Court? Well, that's Hamas. What about the Red Cross? That's Hamas, whoever it was. And he said, is anybody not Hamas? Laurie Cook says, Assange asked legal per confidential not to be published. Julian Assange was in contact with Clinton's legal. These bastards are trying to make us freak out. What they're trying to do, by the way, Laurie, and I thank you, what they're trying to do is to always have you live, number one, under a sense of terror. Number two, I want you to be able to accept anything. I have been, let me remind some folks about something. You know, with all the talk that we've had about folks, false claims of anti-Semitism and the like. There's two fellows, Peter Hayes and Robert Weiner. I don't know if there's a rule. And they provide two of the best sources of anti-Semitism. Now, let me explain something to you and listen to me. I know sometimes we get into this anti-Israel stuff. Not you, but sometimes they do because it seems so boorish and bullish and this and that, blah, blah. But if anybody has any doubt in this, you're not paying attention. Hitler wanted the systematic removal of people permanently from terra firma. One of the defenses Israel should have is that genocide is a term, it's like the term mayhem. Mayhem used to be a precursor to aggravated battery. Mayhem sounds horrible. Menacing is another one. Okay, there's this world. How do we say this? There's this world of the way what people think of a word and versus what the statutory word is. And one of the things that I think Israel should tell the world is, you're using the word genocide. If anything, Israel wants Palestine out. Okay, that may not come as a shock, or may come as a shock, but it shouldn't. Wanting them out, Israel said officially, we don't give a damn if you go to Georgia, Wyoming, the Sinai, Egypt, or Jordan. Get the hell out of here. This is ours. Okay, I'm being overly, but nobody is saying we want them all dead. We have this thing about Palestine. That's the difference. And that's kind of what people think about conventional use of the word genocide versus statutory. Now, here's something to note. There was this. And here's the thing that's the most important. How do so many people look at this and allow it? How did we allow slavery? How did people in the course of the South, and by the way, the Civil War was about slavery. I don't care what. No, it's states' rights about slavery. Don't shy from it. Don't run from it. Don't. I love people who all of a sudden say, what are you, a slavery expert? Well, it wasn't slavery. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. Well, maybe, but okay. How do people look and let things happen? Stand by for 1 second. Let that one we're going to get to this in 1 minute. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I told you this the other day. What they're doing, and I'm sorry, please listen to me. What they're doing to Mike Lindell is an abomination. The greatest part, you see my friend Tony? He emails me. He's got his slippers, his moccasins. These are the best things. Listen to what's available right now and pay attention to the great people, the one, the only, the inimitable, the ineffable, the wonderful folks at that great institution of mypillow.com, but only with promo code Lionel. Listen. All right, my friend. It's time to hail and salute our great friends at mypillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you get a free gift. No purchase necessary. I know a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But listen carefully. What are we talking about? Giza Dream Bed Sheets, My Pillow 2.0, sheets, slippers, percales, towels, quilts, bedspreads, mattresses, mattress covers, mattress toppers, linens, kitchen towels, bathrobes, name it. Items to help you luxuriate and relax. Think about it. And they're monster sellers right now. Listen to me. Slippers. My slippers. Think about it. What do they do with My Pillow? They make things real soft and plush and comfy. How perfect. And when they apply that genius to slippers, look out. Look out. Look at the specials right now, but only if you use promo code Lionel. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel. Solid disproverbial. mypillow.com/Lionel or call 800-645-4965. Call right now and watch how fast Mike answers the phone. mypillow.com, the best. I have been fascinated by the collective loss of humanity that people feel. And the reason why I say this is that there are people in the world of government. Remember, government is one thing. The people who run the government, that's the one we're talking about. I love my country. I'm not crazy about my government. And I hate the people who run my government. The people who actually tell the government what to do, to make them appear as though they're working at my behest or whatever it is. When they get a hard on for something, I'm sorry, pardon my French, but that's the colloquial term for it. When they fixate on somebody, nothing will make them go away. Raphael Ligonde, as I said, Abraham Lincoln said, no one can invade the U.S. because the citizens will not allow them to cast a bucket in the Mississippi to have a drink of water. Sir, are we still the same citizens he was talking about? Apparently not. But thank you, dear friend. Thank you, Raphael. Sparky says, South Africa destroyed Israel in the ICC. Israel underestimated them. Did you see it? Oh, I've been talking about this. Well, now let me go back to this. We're talking about something a little bit different, okay? I'm going to take you through this one, just a tad. Let me get some back stuff here. This is in The Hague, okay? This is very important. The ICJ, okay? This is one of the issues which I think is very, very critical. Now, how do I start this? How do I even begin this? First and foremost, it has nothing to do with anything that is remotely, well, it's sort of analogous to our courts, but not really. Let me explain. First, the idea of South Africa bringing this charge to the court, not that South Africa is Israel was trying to claim, you're going to love this, that South Africa has no claim. They never did anything to South Africa. No, but South Africa is almost like a signatory. It's acting as a participant member. As Joel says, control. As we have seen a parent attach a leash on a child so the child doesn't get lost in the department store. Everything is for sale. Control. Indeed. And by the way, Edge, very profound. One of the things they did at this court, which was the most, I think, silly, is I don't think Israel recognizes that, and I don't know about their counsel. Do you see the old man who can't find anything? Is like, well, just a second. I mean, what is going on here? What is going on? They're also claiming this Hamas, and the world's not buying this. Now they may buy it. I don't know who these spokespeople are. I don't know. I think they do more damage. Let me tell you the approach I would take, and I know this sounds nuts because this is a political court. I don't care what anybody says, and whether it even works or not, what happens, who knows? But they're taking this very seriously. This will set the case, set the trend for years to come. This will be my approach. I'm giving you kind of an exaggerated version, but it would be something like this. Look, I know you folks mean well. I really do. After all, we are signatories to this, and nobody wants genocide. But what we're seeing here is not genocide. Not only is it not genocide, but it can't be proved. It hasn't been proved. It's not available to proof. And the evidence that you put on of soldiers singing or things that Netanyahu said, as reprehensible as you may find that to be. And there's all kinds of references to biblical references to Moloch or whatever. That is not what is contemplated by the statute as far as genocide goes. We're going to go through the elements. We're going to go through each of them. And remember, as in regular criminal cases in our country, we don't have the burden of proof. You have the burden of proof. And your burden of proof is you must show and explain to us. You must prove this case. We don't have to prove anything. We don't have to counter. We might be able to, but you will, with all due respect, and if it pleases the court, the evidence will show that there is no way to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that genocide took place for the following reasons. Thank you. Sit down. That's it. I don't want to go to The Hague and explain the history of Hamas, October the 7th. I just want to say this is so clinical. With all due respect, this is not a... I love when you go to court and you have a very simple... Your Honor, I recognize the fact that there was this collision. There was a loss of life. There was vehicular horrors. I recognize this. I understand it. I understand that my client is charged with vehicular DUI manslaughter. However, under the laws of the state of whatever it is, she was not under the actual physical control because she did not have the keys and was... I love that. Horrible facts that have nothing to do with you. That's what I want. Let it go. And when these idiots go on TV, I swear, who was it who said this about? There's this hubris. Why Netanyahu doesn't say, I don't want anybody on TV. Sparky says, it said that Israelis are the only Jews without a sense of humor. They sure can't read the room. You know what? I think there's something to be said for this lack of, I don't want to say hubris, but you are doing nothing. There is a fellow, I don't know his name. He speaks with a British accent. He's the worst. Why are you going on a show where they say 22,000 children? How do you say that? You don't understand. October the 7th, yeah. Why are you doing this? What do you think? Israel is so... It's like the Dershowitz defense. Always answer. Always fight back. Always fight back. Dershowitz has been, and I'm saying this again, it's over. He's lost whatever that thing was that he had. And one of the things that hurt him was Epstein. And let me say again, there's no proof of him being involved in anything sinister, criminal, underage, but he was there for so long and so for such a duration that the stench, the funk of Epstein is on him. When he said, I demand you and I'm going to sue you if you get... It made people say, I don't know why people don't understand this. No comment. None. No comment. Remember, there were these people, and I love them a lot. Bill Kunstler, wonderful person. Talk about a lot of things. Don't talk about the case. When a case is still handling, don't talk about civil rights, but don't talk about a case as it's happening. Don't. When Bruce Cutler used to stand and rail against for Gotti, made Gotti a bigger target. James LaRosa, who represented Paul Castellano in the mob. Who? See? Never heard from him. He did all his arguments. Why are you going on TV? What are you doing? What do you think? If you go on the why this is just incredible. Why is, for example, Dershowitz on or others with Brianna or with Crystal Baller? What is the purpose of this? And who was the young lady who was on with, I think she used to be, oh, you know who also has run, abs, Douglas Murray. I do not I think it's the British accent. I swear to God. It's bizarre what he is saying. He just says, I'm going to go out and I'm going to be the guy. And I'm going it's he's arguing things that make sense but have nothing to do with this case. Okay. Look at this heated debate between Bree and Alan Dershowitz on Hamas terrorists. Why would Alan Dershowitz go on TV? Why? It's just like they get this guy Junk Yogurt. Why? He may have a good point. Don't get him on there. Oh God, no. Oh no, Palestine, please get him down. Get him off. No. You could take the most ardent anti-Israel. Listen to Junk Yogurt, and you know what? Maybe he's got a point. What is her name? Is it Eilers? Maybe you can help me. What is her name? Oh, please. Unfortunately, I don't. Oh, I know you don't care about this. The Cat Williams, what he said about Diddy. Oh, dear God. Here was this one. 57-minute commercial with Michaela Peterson. Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, here we go. This is on LBC. Netanyahu's advisor calls genocide allegation. What is his name? His name is Mark Regev, I believe. What are you accomplishing? Who are you winning over? I don't understand this. Sparky says, since the court's findings are practically inactionable, it won't matter if Israel technically wins when they lose worldwide public opinion. Well, you know, you're right about this. The thing is, here is the question, Sparky. You bring up a good point. Assuming, if one were to assume arguendo that Israel would lose, whatever that means, what exactly are they? What are they at risk of losing? What precisely? How do they lose? What would they lose? What happens? And we, the jury, find whatever the court finds that you have committed genocide. Okay, what happens? What do you pay a fine? Suspend your license? No, I'm serious. I don't know. I don't understand this. But here's the point. They would, if I'm going to be your spokesman and you're going to pay me, I'm going to say, here's my first rule. We don't respond. Let them just talk. Let them talk among themselves. Every time we speak, we give them new ammunition. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what Israel said? Stop talking about this. The only thing that Netanyahu cares about, or anybody should care about, if I were Netanyahu, is what my constituents in Israel think. I mean, to an extent. And so far, I think he's got enough trouble as it is. Why are they discussing it? Why? What is the purpose of this? Why are you doing this? When you come out of court, why do people answer? Well, see, no comment. I don't understand. What do you think somebody Sparky, could you imagine, or anybody, can you imagine all of a sudden somebody saying, I was really really against Netanyahu, but he said, or his spokesman said, that Hamas asked for this because of October the 7th. I never thought about that. What? Why are you still saying that? Because you've diluted the argument and it has no punch. Lori Cuck says, why is Israel there? Radio silence. Why are they? You mean in the court? Because I think they're now. I think in a weird way, what they really wanted to do was they wanted to perhaps maybe deny jurisdiction. Remember, and I'm not in any way trying to compare, please, but during Nuremberg, some of the Nazis charged said, I don't recognize this court. I don't really have a plea, whatever. I'm not involved in this, whatever. That's your thing. Sorry. Not that was kind of their take, so to speak. Because, but they can't because they're a signatory to it. And these things are, I swear to you, I would say, I want to go a week, 2 weeks. Nobody says anything. I don't want anybody to have anything to refute, anything to mock, nothing. We're only going to, especially, and you can understand this, we're only going to answer the charges in this tribunal. That is it. And what I would do also, if I were one of these two barristers, I'm saying, I don't want to refute. I want to say, you didn't charge it. I don't have to prove any evidence. I don't want to say where I was. I'm going to say my client was not trespassing. My client did not commit burglary. My client did not fire the gun. My client did not possess his weapon. My client was not driving. My client did not intend. That's it. Period. You didn't prove it. Not, well, what did he intend to do? I'm not going to tell you what he intended to do. Well, where was he? I'm not going to tell you that. My favorite, this is terrible stuff to watch on YouTube, are people who get pulled over, especially these entitled women and teens who think, get your hands off me. And all they had to do was this. License and registration. Yes, officer. Where were you coming from? Are you in custody? I think so. I'm not free to go. I'm not answering any questions. Officer, I respectfully decline to answer any further questions. That's it. That's it. Now you're being recorded and you look polite. And you can't show that in court. You can't show that because you're commenting on the defendant's right to remain silent. That's a mistrial right there. You step out of the truck. You've got to step out of the. You've got to step up. I know my rights. I don't know why they're doing it. Why are you doing this? Get out of the car. They're going to drag you out. They're going to say you're obstructing. I don't know. They make things worse. Lori Cuck says, if a crime, we didn't do it, you can't prove it. Well, if a crime, we didn't do it, if you can't prove it. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, Lori. Remember, sometimes you'll hear people say, the defendant appeared at the arraignment, he pled innocent. Oh, no. He pled not guilty. For example, Lori, I'll make something easy. What do you want? Let's make DWI, simple. I prove that you, now if we have the bill of particulars and becomes incorporated, you on this date, in this county, in this state, in this district, because that's my jurisdictional area. I'm the prosecutor of Manatee County versus Duval County. So I got to prove it happened in Manatee County on this date. You were driving or in the actual physical control of a motor vehicle or rather you were impaired to the extent your normal faculties were impaired. Boom, that is it. So you were on this date in this county driving a car. What if the car was out of gas? What if it was in an accident and it couldn't work? What all these other sub issues? That's it. And if one of those is not proved, you are not guilty. Not, you're innocent. You probably, were you drunk? Goddamn right you were drunk. Doesn't matter. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to prove anything. Sparky says Israel loses sympathy that they've built up over the decades, which has shielded them for years. To an extent, this, Sparky, I'm telling you, something happened here. What it is, and exactly like never before seen. Laurie Cuck says every element, indeed. Oops, hang on. Sparky says, did you see the 20-year-old clip where Finkelstein, called Dershowitz $10,000 charitable donation bluff real time? What a burn. Dershowitz still uses that bluff. All I know is Finkelstein was the DB Cooper. He was just nowhere. He was just gone. He just, it's as though somebody said, bring him back. Have you heard Mearsheimer? Have you heard, and by the way, I emailed my good friend Judge Napolitano. I said, your shows are superb. They're simply superb. The panoply, the variety of guests. See, I would have somebody else on who's very good. I want to hear Israel's case. I don't want to keep hearing the same people. Yeah, I know. Make your case. Make your case. Make it. It's tough. And I don't want to hear necessarily history, but when did this, and by the way, if you look, and by the way, Laurie brings up a good point. When you bring up this bill of particulars as to this case, when did the genocide occur? Give me the dates. And what did Israel do that says, listen, you can say, I've got news for you. This is war. And by the way, there's something called judicial notice, which is I don't know if they want to do that there, but judicial notice is when you introduce something without really having to introduce it. For example, if you say, I want the court to take judicial notice that October the 3rd, 1897 was a Wednesday, because you're readily able to determine this. And you would say, by the way, I want the court to take judicial notice that, hang on a second. Now listen to this. This is one of those ones that just, how many people do you think have been killed in wars throughout all of human history? How many people were killed in wars in the 20th century? What do you think about that? How many people? How many people? How many people in the history of the world? Too many, yes. How many people have been killed? The New York Times, I just said between 150 million and a billion people. At least 108 million people, 108 have been killed in the 20th century. And estimates for the total number killed in wars throughout all of human history range from 150 million to a billion. War has several other effects on population, including decreasing the birth rate by taking men away from their wives. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, your honors, your honorable honors. When we speak of war, we speak of the ruination, the eradication, the ablation, the emending, the surgical excision of humanity, which could be by its very nature genocide under the rules. We are not, this is me representing Israel, we are not in any way saying we're not at war. We have been at war since 1948. We were at war 2 days after we were doing, and we're not going to relitigate 242 and all that jazz. Are we at war? Yes. And who is our enemy? It is Hamas and the PLO and every iteration, Palestinian Authority. Go through the list. We have others. We have been at war. So, in essence, what they're saying is, forgive us for being a little sensitive. Now, that's a great argument until somebody counters it. That's when it gets interesting. So at first, you create a little bit of doubt. You make the people say, what are we doing here? The whole thing of war. Could we not have been accused of genocide during Vietnam? Why weren't the My Lai people? By the way, those are the ones that we know of. Why weren't the My Lai folks? They represented. I mean, do you think everybody in Israel is responsible for genocide? No, some are, but they're talking about Israel. Well, how do we get off? If you can create some kind of doubt, you can say this charge is inapplicable in today's bellicose world of law and rules of whatever. Okay, blah blah blah. But then comes the other side. And then we get into people to explain the Hannibal doctrine and this doctrine and how people are they going to take the stand? See, I don't even know how this thing works. Do you have records? Do you have cross-examination? Do you have somebody who say, state your name for the record? I mean, do they even call witnesses? It seems like almost like an appellate court. But if they were to call witnesses, let's just assume state your name for the record, a general, whatever it is. Or what are you with the IDF? Yes. Or were you so employed on Yes. And I'm showing you what's been handed as the government's exhibit number 1 for identification. What is this? Yes, that's the dread Hannibal doctrine. And was this implemented? Yes. So one could argue that most of the people that were killed during the October the 7th were there. And I'm not even saying this, but what I'm saying is this is doubt. Now, this is what the prosecution says. So the prosecution gets around this by saying there is genocide by virtue of your own documents. Because genocide does not mean you want to eliminate from the face of the earth Palestinians per se, but you want to do something to affect their ability to enjoy life, reproduction, schools, hospitals, etc., etc., etc. Sparky says, Finkelstein said that he'd given up on the Palestinian issue. Yep, several years back. Recent events rekindled his interest. I think it may actually be organic. Norm seems to like the sort of a lone wolf. Yes, you're right about that. He said years ago, he said, I'm tired of this. And by the way, he was a scholar. He's a very interesting, he doesn't remember this, but I met him one time it was like I don't know, some UN thing or something. And he didn't know where I was, but he was far. I didn't speak with him much. I was like, hi, how are you? I've always just appreciated anybody who shows guts. Anybody who shows guts, I've always appreciated. I've always thought, I don't care who you mentioned Kunstler. I love Kunstler. Bill Kunstler was a revolutionary. I mean, he represented people that nobody, and he just and I always do that. Anyway, but he was pretty much shelved. He was gone. He was persona non grata. Laurie Cook says, why don't Israel say classified wartime? Well, it's interesting. You're saying, why don't they use the defense of something being classified? Why they'd say, well, I'm sorry, I wish we could introduce this to you, but it's classified. That'd be interesting, because what if they were to claim the following, if that's what you mean? What if they were to say, we would love to rebut this, but in order for me to rebut this, it would necessarily involve introducing evidence which could compromise ongoing investigations and put in harm's way soldiers and blah 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 blah. So it's a fascinating issue, most fascinating. And by the way, your intuition so far has been incredible, absolutely, positively incredible. I am very, very impressed by your questions, because as I've told you a million times, it's the questions, because the questions show the depth of your analysis. Not somebody who comes up with an answer. Answers are, well, what about this? And what about that? And I'm telling you, this one Finkelstein interview or debate. By the way, somebody please tell Norman Finkelstein, do yourself, buy a USB mic. They're relatively inexpensive. Please, your fans, people would love you so much more if we could hear you better than using the mic that is in your laptop. Please, for the love of God, do this. Sparky says it's come to light. Most Israelis lost on October the 7th were dispatched by Israel. Well, it's funny, Sparky. The number of people. Who was it? Lieberman, Avigdor Lieberman. Very right. By the way, the cabinet or the wartime consiglieres are very, very quote right wing, but they're furious. Israelis have lost jobs, businesses, closed business. Sderot has been pretty much. I was there, pretty much. Not abandoned, but people have had to leave their jobs and their homes. They're staying in hotels. This is costing a fortune. They're saying, where is this going? And what they're doing is they're saying, we want to get tough. Get tough. Get tough with what? Something changed. And Sparky and Cluck and everybody will agree. Something has changed. If this happened 5 years ago, it would have been this. October the 7th. Well, you got to do what you got to do. And that's it. And we would move on. And the Palestinian people would say the same thing and say, yeah. And remember how Finkelstein would be like, what is this guy's problem? This self-loathing Jew, he hates God. He's got a problem. What is the matter with him, right? Max Blumenthal, what is with this guy? Who did him wrong? My God. That's all he talks about. Okay. And then others as well. They just say, okay, And we used to think, okay, look, this Palestinian, Israel's doing the best it can. Come on, it's surrounded by everything. Give it a break. Leave them alone. They don't go to other countries. They don't, this is what people would say. They're the only democracy in the Middle East. They're our friend. They're our ally. They help. And people would say this. But they don't say it anymore. What happened? The internet. Yeah, but the internet was about internet. And you know what else? If the internet collectively, social media, were as focused on shelving this issue as it did, quote, anti-vax stuff. Sparky says, since Gaza is not a country, is it war or simply crimes against humanity? It's a very good point. You do not have to be. It's a very good point. It's an excellent point. Let me ask you this. Rephrase it. If you were to seek a ceasefire, if Israel says, you want a ceasefire? Good. With whom? Okay. With whom? Hamas? Excuse me. Is Hamas recognized? Can they speak for Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad and the other groups of people, the other factions and militias in Iraq and Yemen and this? Can you? Ansar Allah in Yemen, can they do that? No. So exactly, are we going to be doing piecemeal? Who is Hamas? It would be like the United States saying we have a ceasefire with the Klan. Now, I'm not saying this is necessarily correct, but that would be the argument to make the court say, they got a good point. What is that? Who is it? You're going to call it? Is Hamas here today? No. Can we call the head of Hamas? Can we subpoena the head of Hamas, Sinwar? Can we bring him in here? Because that's. Oh, he's not going to. Well, how are we going to put on our case? What are we going to do? We have to authenticate that. We need the other side. I mean, this again. If this were like a real court, I would say, wait a minute. This is. Excuse me. What is this? South Africa? What are you doing? What do we do to you? Nothing. You're bringing this up. Okay. All right. Imagine this. Sparky and Lori Cuck are neighbors, and they're always yelling at each other. And I come along and I file a lawsuit on behalf of Lori against Sparky. And the judge says, do you have standing? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a member of that neighborhood. And that Lori is abused constantly by this Sparky guy. He says, excuse me, you're bringing a lawsuit? Yes. You're not a party to this. Well, I may not be a party, but I'm bringing it to the court's attention. Excuse me, you're what? You're what? It's the weirdest concept. So you're a member of a tribunal. So South Africa does it. It's very, very good, by the way. Very excellently phrased. So Israel says, okay, now who is it? What is our party? Now Sparky says, remember the liberty. Okay. By the way, Sparky, if we do remember the Nakba, remember the Holocaust, remember how we remember the Maine, remember the liberty is something which, by the way, remember the St. Louis. What's that? That's the ship that FDR sent back. And could have knowing those people were going to be killed. So we can do we'll be doing this forever. So, but this. Now, again, if Israel, as a strategy, this may sound crazy, confuse people. Excuse me, who are we? What are we doing here? You know damn well. No, I don't. Call your first witness. South Africa. Wait a minute, what? What is South Africa? How do I put this on? What do we do next? Okay, you put your thing. Okay. And had Israel stood up and said, we plead not guilty. Thank you very much. At an arraignment, you want to plea not guilty. I'm not going to say, and on this day, Your Honor, we found. No, keep your mouth shut. I'm saying it. Nope. Prove it. I'm not going to say anything. Because there's nothing worse than somebody who said, especially during opening statements, as counsel said, an opening statement. Do you remember when he said he was going to prove that? Well, he didn't. He said that. So you don't want to, what are we saying? I don't understand. I swear to you, I know this sounds nuts, but why are they? Israel's position should be, I don't know what you're talking about. We've been at war for 75 years. What are you talking about? You want to do numbers and stats? And by the way, this isn't Hamas. This is Iran. This is Jordan. Don't kid yourself. It's Egypt and it's Iran. It's everybody. And they're lining up. This is, if you can convey to the world and show them, this is not asymmetrical. This is something you've never seen before. And you're daring to do what? War is hell. And remember, they might be saying, we're not talking about October 7th. We're talking about genocide before that, about if this is an apartheid, if this is, not so much settlements, but the inability, this siege that they can't, Gaza, the Gazans can't use the water, the air, the sea, nothing. Caloric limit, that's a different story. And Israel's going to say October the 7th, and then South Africa in the court will say, no, we're not talking about October the 7th. It's before that. Well, why are you bringing this now? Why didn't you bring this 5 years ago? It is about October the 7th. That's why you're bringing it now. No, it's not. Yes, it is. And pretty soon, this is what you want. You want everybody, if you're Israel, you want everybody to say, I don't know what the hell we're talking about. Good. Can we, are we done with this yet? Okay, good. Let's wrap this up. Because I don't know, because we have a war to fight. They're trying to kill, Hamas is doing it again. Can we go now? If that's the way it's perceived, that may be something, but that can only be accomplished if you don't respond to everything and tell Alan Dershowitz, no more talking about this, because you're a de facto mouthpiece for Israel. And Israel, by the way, does not want you defending them. And the two people they got, I don't know about this. I don't know. Because as Sparky, I think, and everybody else has realized here, this is a political war. Okay, my friends, this is an hour and a half today, but it's worth it. And I thank you for this. Sparky, thank you immensely. Lori Cuck, you are without peer. Thank you, Lori. Thank you immensely. Seriously, I appreciate that. Rafael Legonde, thank you, my dear friend. Excellent. And Edge Dweller, thank you for your kindness and your contributions. And the like, you are supreme. And I thank you for that. What a delightful, I mean, this is terrible subject matter, but you have been simply without peer. And I want to thank you for this. Thank you. My friends, we will see you tonight at 7 p.m. Have a great and a glorious and a wonderful day. Thank you so much for your input. Again, and your absolute genius in asking the right questions. You redeemed my faith in the power of collective thought. And I mean that. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. See you tonight at 7 p.m. But don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dead.